3. Dravidian India. The blending of the Andite conquerors of India with the native stock eventually resulted in that mixed people which has been called Dravidian. The earlier and purer Dravidians possessed a great capacity for cultural achievement, which was continuously weakened as their Andite inheritance became progressively attenuated. And this is what doomed the budding civilization of India almost 12,000 years ago. But the infusion of even this small amount of the blood of Adam produced a marked acceleration in social development. This composite stock immediately produced the most versatile civilization then on earth. Not long after conquering India, the Dravidian Andites lost their racial and cultural contact with Mesopotamia, but the later opening up of the sea lanes and the caravan routes re-established these connections, and at no time within the last 10,000 years has India ever been entirely out of touch with Mesopotamia on the west and China to the east, although the mountain barriers greatly favored western intercourse. The superior culture and religious leanings of the peoples of India date from the early times of Dravidian domination and are due in part to the fact that so many of the Sethite priesthood entered India, both in the earlier Andite and the later Aryan invasions. The thread of monotheism running through the religious history of India thus stems from the teachings of the Adamites in the Second Garden. As early as 16,000 BC, a company of 100 Sethite priests entered India and very nearly achieved the religious conquest of the western half of that polyglot people. But their religion did not persist. Within 5,000 years their doctrines of the Paradise Trinity had degenerated into the triune symbol of the fire god. But for more than 7,000 years, down to the end of the Andite migrations, the religious status of the inhabitants of India was far above that of the world at large. During these times, India bid fair to produce the leading cultural, religious, philosophic, and commercial civilization of the world, and but for the complete submergence of the Andites by the peoples of the south, this destiny would probably have been realized. The Dravidian centers of culture were located in the river valleys, principally of the Indus and Ganges, and in the Deccan along the three great rivers flowing through the eastern Ghats to the sea. The settlements along the seacoast of the western Ghats owed their prominence to maritime relationships with Sumeria. The Dravidians were among the earliest peoples to build cities and to engage in an extensive export and import business, both by land and sea. By 7000 BC, camel trains were making regular trips to distant Mesopotamia. Dravidian shipping was pushing coastwise across the Arabian Sea to the Sumerian cities of the Persian Gulf, and was venturing on the waters of the Bay of Bengal as far as the East Indies. An alphabet, together with the art of writing, was imported from Sumeria by these seafarers and merchants. These commercial relationships greatly contributed to the further diversification of a cosmopolitan culture, resulting in the early appearance of many of the refinements and even luxuries of urban life. When the later appearing Aryans entered India, they did not recognize in the Dravidians their Andite cousins submerged in the Sangic races, but they did find a well-advanced civilization. Despite biologic limitations, the Dravidians found it a superior civilization. It was well diffused throughout all India and has survived on down to modern times in the Deccan.